On this vote, the yeas are 214, the nays are 191. The resolution is, with 5 present, the resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
All right, guys, so I'm going to tell you guys straight up. I'm going to make a follow-up video on the video that I'm making right now about the squad because I have to separate these two topics even though they are somewhat related to each other, okay? As the squad is boohoo, whining, and crying racism in Congress over Jamaal Bowman, another member of the squad, the simp of the squad, getting punished by the GOP for obstructing an official proceeding by pulling a fire alarm as Congress was trying to vote on a bill to avoid a government shutdown. Okay, Jamaal Bowman did what Democrats would have defined as an act of insurrection had he been a member of the Republican Party and not black. Okay, they would have said that this was an insurrection. Okay, what Jamaal Bowman did. Right. And they probably would have kicked Jamaal Bowman out of Congress the same way that, George Santos got voted out of Congress. They would have kicked out Jamaal Bowman for pulling the fire alarm because not only did he do it to obstruct an official proceeding, but he lied about it. He lied about it. And when the video came out, it showed that the dude purposely pulled the fire alarm. Right. He said that I was pulling the fire alarm because I'm too dumb to know the difference between a door lever and a fire alarm, okay? Even though anybody that's ever seen a fire alarm knows that fire alarm is clearly marked fire alarm, okay? He did it on purpose. He lied about it. He got charged with a misdemeanor. Basically, he got a slap on the wrist. And also, the Republicans are giving him a slap on the wrist because they didn't punish him the way that Democrats would have punished him had Jamaal Bowman been a Republican and not black. They gave Jamaal Bowman a slap on the wrist by censuring him, which is just basically a formal denouncement, right? That's all it is, okay? And the squad threw a fit over this, and I want to talk about this whole situation. But first, I want to show you guys both sides of the argument, okay? So I'm going to show you guys Marjorie Taylor Greene, who argues for why Jamaal Bowman should be censured.
Jamaal Bowman did not tell the Capitol Police that he pulled the fire alarm, even though he admitted himself that when he makes a mistake, that he would tell his own students, if you've made a mistake, own up to it and take accountability. Jamaal Bowman had plenty of opportunity to admit his mistake and take accountability for his own actions. He should have told Capitol Police immediately that he made a mistake, as he claimed. But it wasn't a mistake, Mr. Speaker. It was on purpose, it was intentional, and it was all in part to play the games and the shenanigans that the Democrats were pulling that day as they were trying to block the continuing resolution that was being considered on the House floor. Remember, the fire alarm was pulled minutes after the Democrat whip made a motion to adjourn. But more importantly, he was intentionally playing his part to obstruct an official proceeding. By the way, this is the same thing that has been used against January 6 defendants and is still being used to this day. They are being locked up, held pre-trial detention, and being prosecuted by the Department of Justice nearly 3 years later for obstructing an official proceeding, which is exactly what a member of Congress did, Jamaal Bowman did, on September 30th. But yet we have a two-tier justice system in Washington, D.C. And while regular people who walked into the Capitol, by the way, nonviolent offenders, many of them walked in open doors, and some of them also standing out on the lawn, never entering the Capitol, are all being charged for obstructing an official proceeding. But yet Jamaal Bowman says, oh, it was a mistake and he should get a pass. And his colleagues make excuses for them and call us unserious. You know what's unserious? Having a justice system that doesn't hold everyone accountable and treat people the same way. This is an outrage, and this is a disgrace on this institution and this body. For someone that is a former principal who punished his own students for intentionally pulling fire alarms to make up petty excuses and think that his own constituents and the American people will buy his lies is a slap in the face to his voters, the people that he represents, and this entire country and every single one of us that serve in this body. I would also add that if anyone is going to be charged and forced to remain in jail, forced to be serving prison time for obstructing an official proceeding, then Jamaal Bowman should face the exact same fate for every single January 6th defendant. Mr. Speaker, I urge all of my colleagues to vote for this censure resolution. I thank Representative McClain for introducing it, and at this time I yield back. Thank you.
Gentlemen.
And then I'm going to show you guys the squad who basically just cry racism and don't really give a real argument as to why Jamaal Bowman shouldn't get punished. So without further ado, roll the clips.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to the censure of Representative Jamaal Bowman. This is yet another predictable but no less wasteful action. Congressman Bowman has taken accountability for his mistake, and even Republicans on the Ethics Committee agree that this is a waste of time. We've got 99 problems, but a functional government of the Republican majority is not one of them. Republicans are disconnected, dysfunctional, discriminating, and a disappointment to the American people. They can't pass a bill to fund our public schools, but they will bring this resolution to attack Congressman Bowman, a champion for students, a lifelong educator, a duly elected member of Congress, and a strong black man. He honors the legacy of the many brilliant black men that came before him. A quick history lesson. We are approaching the anniversary of when Joseph Rainey became the first black member of the U.S. House of Representatives in December of 1870. Just like Jamaal Bowman, he fought for public education and civil rights, and he had to deal with double standards and racism in Congress. This censure is just the latest in this chamber's racist history of telling black men that they don't belong in Congress. To the black men of this nation, know that you belong everywhere. Jamaal Bowman is
time has expired.
Another
30 seconds.
I am recognized for an additional 30 seconds. Him, and I urge my colleagues to vote no on this resolution.
I thank the ranking member. Mr. Chair, I think the Republican side of the aisle made the case quite clearly today as to why we should not vote for censure. Right now, you can tell how weak their arguments are because they are grasping for straws, trying to do their best My Cousin Vinny impersonation as to breaking down what happened here with a fire alarm. Jamaal Bowman has more courage in his pinky finger than the entire Republican Party put together, more integrity than the entire Republican Party put together. And that's exactly why they're moving to censure him today. Let me tell you what's actually going on. New York Republicans are so embarrassed that they propped up George Santos, got him elected to office, and then had to turn around and vote to expel him, that they want to distract the entire world from their massive embarrassment. New York Republicans are so embarrassed that they have not accomplished a damn thing for New Yorkers this entire year, that they have to find a distraction. So they've decided to target one of the first black men to ever represent Westchester County in the United States Congress for censure. That is what today is about. And New York Republicans are so unfocused and so unable to make people's lives better that they've decided to bully their colleague. That's what today is about. They're wasting our time. They're wasting the country's time over some petty what rises to censure. I mean, truly, these arguments that are being made here, what's next? Jaywalking? Do you want to get us for jaywalking, for not crossing the street correctly? Is that what you're going to raise for censure next? This is truly ridiculous. It's beneath the character of the House, and it is beneath the stature and the status of what rises to consideration before this body. And with that, I yield back.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. This is just another classic example of how Democrats can't make one argument without pulling the race card. Okay, and what's so funny about this, I'm going to make another video about this tomorrow, right? Because there's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to the squad pulling the race card, right? Because they're now boo-hoo-whining and crying about having a bigotry card pulled on them. And I'm going to talk about it because the woke oppression coalition of the Democrat Party is falling apart, and we got to have that conversation, right? But for right now, I'm going to talk about just this topic right here. AOC wants to talk about how Republican arguments are weak. But during her argument, she gave no arguments as to what about the Republican argument is weak. Okay, she didn't tell us how Jamaal Bowman didn't pull the fire alarm, because he did. She didn't argue that it wasn't obstruction of justice, or that he wasn't doing it with the intent of trying to obstruct an official proceeding, because she know that he did. She didn't argue about how he was confused, right? And it was an accident, because she knows that he did it on purpose. But she compares it to jaywalking, right? So I want you guys to understand, AOC is comparing Jamaal Bowman pulling a fire alarm on purpose with the intent to obstruct an official proceeding, something that Democrats have defined as an insurrection. We put people in jail for the same accusations against Jamaal Bowman that she did not argue weren't true, okay, or were unjust. She never made an argument as to why these arguments are wrong, okay? She didn't make those arguments, okay? Maybe because if she made those arguments, then she would have to essentially argue that, you know, some of the people that were locked up over January 6th should be free, right? So maybe she's not making that argument for that reason. But she made none of these arguments, and yet she's comparing it to jaywalking, right? Again, we're talking about something that's much more serious than jaywalking, okay? Again, this shows you how unserious of a person AOC is, and just the utter inability for Democrats to argue anything without pulling the race card. That's all they have, right? The only thing I hear in regards to why Jamaal Bowman shouldn't be censured is that, well, he's black. That's the only thing that I heard, right? I did not hear an actual argument for why he should not be punished. Again, it's amazing. It's embarrassing. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Because again, these are the same people who are going to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about the bigot card being pulled on them, right? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But for the rest of this video, I want to talk about how embarrassing it is for the Republicans who basically gave a Democrat a slap on the wrist for something that Democrats would have expelled a Republican for if a Republican did the exact same thing. And this is why I tell you guys the GOP is weak. I mean, I guess I got to give them a little bit of credit. I didn't think that they would censure Jamaal Bowman, right? Because the ethics committee declined to open up an investigation into Jamaal Bowman and why he did it. So I'm sitting thinking, I'm like, well, they're done with this. But they did decide to censure him. But my question is, why not bring a vote to the floor to expel him? Why not bring a vote to the floor to expel him? That's the real question. That's what I want to know, because this is not enough. See, this is what Republicans playing games. Mike Johnson playing games. It is not acceptable for Republicans to witness Republicans continuously get punished for things that Democrats don't get punished for, and Republicans are in power. You're the ones that have the ability to punish. Republicans just expelled one of their own, and George Santos, for things that he has not been found guilty of, but yet we have somebody in Congress, a Democrat, that has been found guilty of doing something that we've thrown people in jail over. But yet Republicans, instead of choosing to expel a Democrat who just expelled George Santos, no, they're going to give him a slap on the wrist. We're going to formally denounce you. As if that means anything. It don't mean a hill of beans. It don't mean nothing. It's an easy way out. It's an easy way to say, well, we did something. We gave him a strong talking to. But that's par for the course when it comes to this party, guys. That's par for the only thing Republican can do is to give a strongly worded letter, right? We gave him a strong talking to. Now, you listen here, Jamaal Bowman. You don't do that again, right? Democrats don't do that. Democrats go for the jugular every single time. And then they let their own get away with whatever they want, right? Including selling out the American people to foreign countries. To President Joe Biden, Bob Menendez. Democrats don't give a damn. Right? But again, if it's one of their own that happens to cross them, though, like Eric Adams, guess what they do? They treat him like a Republican, right? They go for the jugular. The Democrats are the mob, okay? They're the mob. They using mob tactics. And Republicans, they're just weak. That's all I can say, right? They're just weak. Because every time they get a chance to show some strength, they just fold. I don't understand. Bring a bill to the floor to have him kicked out. That way you're sending a message to Democrats that, hey, we're going to come after you. Even if the vote fails, you can still censure him, right? You can still give him the formal denouncing. That's the easy thing to do. But even if the vote fails, you've sent a message that we're not playing games. We will use congressional nukes the same way that you use congressional nukes. Mutually assured destruction, right? Mutually assured destruction. There's a reason why it works at a foreign policy level, right? There's a reason why. There's so many countries that are our enemies that want to get nukes because nukes makes those countries U.S. invasion proof, right? The United States has not toppled North Korea, Kim Jong-un, because they have nukes, right? That's why, okay? That's why. When you know that your enemy will use nukes, you know that if you do something to your enemy, if you nuke your enemy, you're going to get nuked back. That prevents anybody from using nukes, right? But the game that Republicans are playing with Democrats is that Democrats use nukes and Republicans, they're just using, I don't know, cruise missiles, right? I guess, okay? That's what they're using. They're not even really trying to go after Democrats the way the Democrats are going after them. They're setting new precedents in Congress that will only be used against Republicans. That's what they voted for with Jordan Santos. They literally voted for a new precedent to be set that, hey, we can kick you out of Congress even if you haven't been proven guilty of anything. Just based on accusations, we can kick you out. Will it ever be used on a Democrat? Hell no. But it will be used on Republicans. They will keep using it on Republicans. And Republicans go right along with it, right? It's almost as if they just don't care. They don't want to govern, right? They don't want to be in charge. They're trying to find a way. They're trying to find their best way to lose the majority. It's almost like they don't want to be in the majority, right? I'm so serious. And that's a liberal media talking point. But I can't say from a, unbiased perspective that that's not true because that's what they're acting like. You're acting like you don't want to be in the majority, right? You're acting like you don't want power because when they have power, they fail to yield the power effectively. This is just another failure. This is just another sign of weakness from the GOP. There's no reason why a vote to expel Jamaal Bowman should not have been put on the floor, right? They should have put a vote on the floor to expel Jamaal Bowman. Censure is not enough. They need to put a vote on the floor to expel him, to have him expelled. That's what they should do. And until they do that, this is not enough. They have to do more, okay? This is not good enough. It's not good enough just to censure him. No, he needs to be expelled. And until they actually do it, at the very least put a vote on the floor, again, this party is weak. And Democrats will continue to run over Republicans. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.